Before we jump into the review, start talking about specs, motor, battery, brakes, all that jazz, we got to talk about the aesthetics here. Because this is not a bike that is for, a serious commuter or somebody that's looking for, a utility bike. The point of buying this bike is to have something that looks cool and first off, it's very comfortable to ride. But we're kind of getting the specs, go back to the aesthetics. This is something that makes a statement. Nobody else is going to be seen on the road with something that looks like this. And you got your butt back here, feet up here, get those big, almost ape hanger handlebars in the front. So this is something that looks cool. And you get a lot of eyeballs, a lot of nods, a lot of waves. So if you're an introvert, not the bike for you. If you're looking to make a statement, then this is definitely that bike. So that's pretty much the looks, the vibes of it. You guys have seen the pictures. That's probably why you are clicking on this review. Components hold up. So let's go ahead and dive into the components. So in the back, we've got a 52 volt, 1000 watt motor. Something you'll notice right off the bat is like, well, it looks kind of small, or it looks kind of chunky. That's because it's on a 20-inch wheel in the back. So we got our 26x4 in the front and our 20x4 in the rear, which again kind of lends itself to this cool aesthetic, mullet vibe. At first I was like, oh, it'll be interesting. And, the bike as a whole, I thought, oh, there's a niche market for it. It's probably going to have its issues. But really, after riding it around, it is very, very comfortable. Very nitpicky things, and we'll go into those in the review. But for the most part, this is very comfortable, very responsive, kind of what I hoped it would be. And it's really cool to see. Normally when we're doing reviews, it's like, oh, it was so close. And this one, I feel like it is exactly what it's supposed to be. And it's really cool to see here. One thing to note real quick before we jump into it, there is a rear rack that comes with it. Now, if every bike sort of sent me the saddlebags, 100% would have thrown those on the back. That's the aesthetic, that's the vibe. But I thought without those, it looks cooler without the rack. So you do get a rack that comes with it, but it's just not installed here for this review. But if you're like, hey, I'm looking to throw a little something on the back, you can check out the website. I'll throw a picture up here. You can see what it looks like with the rack on there. I thought this looked cooler. That's why we're doing the review this way. So back to the motor. Top speed, we get, it says 28 miles per hour on the website. I'm only getting 25 out of it right out of the box. Now, there's probably some adjustments. We can go in here and do some adjusting. On the runabout that we just did a review for a while back, there was like a sports mode that you could go into. Not 100% sure if that's the same case here. When we get to the ride test wheel, we'll try some of that stuff. But in the riding that I've been doing, it's getting up to 25 miles per hour. Now, as far as the pedaling goes, and this is kind of all talking about the the drivetrain, the power, all that stuff. It's got a smaller front chainring, so you do get a bit of ghost pedaling, or at least you're sort of like in this nice relaxed position. It's not bad, but it definitely is there. And normally, if we did a point system here, it'd be like, oh, -5 points for ghost pedaling or whatever. It's probably -2 on this particular bike just because of the use case. And like I said, people who are buying this are not looking to go and pedal and do all sorts of stuff. They're looking to have a bike that they can cruise around on, rip back the throttle. Very sort of like vintage motorcycle vibes here. So that is how the bike was designed. So that's why it would only be like -2 points if a regular bike was -5, right? We don't do points, so it's all theoretical at this point. So you pull on the throttle, you get going pretty quick, you pedal. Like I said, it goes to like the 25, 26 miles per hour, and we'll dive into that, see if we can mess around with that. The battery it comes with is a 52 volt, 20 amp hour battery, so we got tons of capacity here. Now you're like, where is the battery? Well, it's hidden under these leather sidewalls here, and then up underneath here, let me show you guys that. Where is it? Am I on the right side? Yeah. So right here, there's the plug for... Right here is the plug for charging it, and our on-off right there. Go ahead and put that back in there. And yeah, if you do need access to the battery, it's not too bad. A couple of screws to pop off if you need to get in there for some reason. But most people who get this probably get the garage space. It's not folding, it's not very compact, so that probably won't be an issue for most people. But it doesn't look like it's terribly difficult to get to the battery. Haven't done it because haven't needed to, but there you go. So that is 52, 20, quite a bit of battery capacity here, so we're going to get some good miles. You know, I'm 220, and like I said, you're not going to be doing a lot of pedaling here. So as far as like estimates goes, definitely want to stick to the lower end for sort of like a realistic expectation. But so far, I mean, we put several miles on it, and you know, knocked off like 20% of the battery. Probably went for like a 10-mile ride, maybe 12, something like that. Didn't keep track of it, but just letting you guys know what we've done on it so far. And yeah, it didn't really seem to affect the battery. And I was with another guy. The other guy was actually riding. I was on my Zeus, and the Zeus was almost dead when I got back, and this thing still had, you know, I don't know, 68% battery, something like that, and we left it, and it was like 80. So, so far, in, you know, the limited stuff that we've done, pretty impressed with the battery range as far as how this goes. Very responsive, nice ride feel, and yeah, pretty dope. Now, as far as safety stuff goes, a couple things we'll notice is we have hydraulic brakes, right? So we got hydraulic brakes on the front and the rear, motor cutoff inhibitors that we like to see. Down here, we've got our Tektro calipers here and 180 rotors. Not going to touch those guys, not good to touch those. So yeah, very good stopping power, easily skid the tires, feel like I'm in control. And again, we haven't really tweaked anything. We just assembled it and it was working well right at the gate. Sometimes we got to finagle with that front brake. Sometimes we got to mess with the derailleur, but so far it really is pretty nice. Sticking with the safety here, we've got a big front light. Now these front lights are not the brightest, right? And that kind of is the case for most of those bigger lights. They just tend to have a bit more of a wider throw. So even if they are sort of like, you know, maybe better than some of like the really cheap, very small e-bike lights, it's a bigger throw, so they just sort of has like a, you know, floodlight effect as opposed to like kind of like a beam of light where you want to go at night. Haven't done a whole lot of riding at night on this particular bike, but just doing some tests in the garage, you know, comparing that to some of the other like really bright lights that I have. Not too bad. It definitely is something where I feel like I'd feel pretty comfortable riding it around, even if there wasn't some sort of like ancillary source of light. Like if we had some light poles, just pretend that there's light poles over here to demonstrate that. So we got the front light and we have the rear light. Now the rear light is pretty easy to pop out of here. I think it's just this one screw actually, and that actually is going to go extend. You got a little cable extension, I believe, to put it on the rear rack. So some bikes would just leave it here, put a rear rack on here, but as soon as you throw pannier bags on, you lose everything here. They don't do that here, which is nice. You can pop this out, put it on the back, so you've still got, you know, some good rear lights for nighttime safety. And as you pull the levers, this top light is going to blink, so it's going to let people know you're coming down to a stop. So the fact that it's integrated, we don't got to go get any weird batteries for this, and the fact that when I pull on the brake levers, it's going to flash down here letting people know I'm coming to a stop. Those are all nice safety features to see. Plus, on both of these tires, we've got sidewall reflective stripes, so if somebody's coming at you from the side, you know, if they're in a car, they're shining lights this way, those things are going to light up like little moons, like little solar eclipse moons. And really cool to see that that's included. We don't see it all the time, but it is an excellent safety feature that we do like to see. You know, it's not that much more to throw on some of those, and they are pretty good at preventing accidents. So we've got lights in the front, lights in the rear, reflectors on the sides, pretty good to go here. And then the wheels, they both have, you know, reflectors down here in the spokes like most bikes do. So from a safety perspective, this is a pretty sweet bike in some of the features that they have in here. Let's go ahead and turn it on. We've got our control pad over here. Let's go ahead and turn that on. See if we can see that display. Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, so it's going to show us a couple things. Oh, did I turn the lights on? Let me see. Oh, it's just my sunglasses. I'm like, I can see it on the GoPro, but I can't see it in real life. There you go. All right, so yes, we're at 81% battery here. That's going to show us our wattage, miles per hour. And it shows us our trip distance, what level of pedal assist we're in. We go up to 5 here, which is nice. And then if we hit this button here, it'll go through a couple things. So we got the odometer, max speed, average speed, time. There's no time, everybody. And then back to our trip there. So a couple cool things here. Now in order to turn on our lights, you're just gonna press and hold this top button. And once we do that, the screen's gonna dim, and then you're gonna see that we've got the little light icon in here. So back around to the front. Now our lights are on. And like I said, not super bright, but even in the the hot Texas sun, it's still fairly bright here. And then This taillight's always going to be on, which is nice to see. Block that sun, there you go. And then if I can be flexible and grab one of these brakes, you'll see that that's going to turn off as I'm pulling on the brake lever up there. We're going to get some stuff there. So excellent safety feature to see, like I'd mentioned. Go ahead and let's see if this has a walk mode. I haven't tested that yet. So normally on some of these bikes, you press and hold this minus button and the motor will kick in. Oh, and it'll kick off. So yeah, it has a walk mode as well. Again, I've been doing this for 5-6 years. Never actually used a walk mode other than in reviews to show people that it has a walk mode. So not sure what it's good for, but on most of these e-bikes, it is still one of those things that is present. Over here on the right hand side, we have got our throttle. Let me turn the mic off before I jack myself up here. Both of these grips have locking mechanisms, which is really cool. Sometimes when you have a double locking mechanism here, it kind of messes up your grip with the actual twist throttle here, but this one feels it's pretty flush. You know, a little bit of a gap, and we might be able to tighten that up a little bit if we adjusted that up a little bit, but it's pretty flush here, so this doesn't feel weird for me to grab half of this and half of this. It is pretty comfortable. Up here we've got our Shimano SIS index shifter. On this bike, like I mentioned, you're not really going to be using this a whole heck of a lot, so you know, it's here. This would probably be a really decent one-speed bike in my opinion, but we do have some gears here, so if you do want to do some pedaling, or you do, you know, hit a hill, you can throw it down into one and, you know, do a little bit of hill climbing. Aesthetically, we have the silver. It kind of matches with some of the stuff they've got going on here, so not a huge deal. It is mostly black if you're just looking at it from an aesthetics perspective. So swapping this out for, you know, trigger shifters or even the black SIS index shifter might bring the whole thing together a little bit, but it does kind of match what they have going on right here, so not a huge deal. The front forks are inverted, which is cool, and they're air. So you got your air reservoirs here. You know, you pop those off. You can adjust it. We haven't done that. You need a shock pump to do that. So don't just try to do that with your regular bike pump. You will screw it up. You can search on YouTube why that's the case, but it is in fact the case. So we've got our inverted forks here. These are pretty nice. A lot of these, you know, motorcycle style front forks tend to be either hydraulic or spring and kind of suck, but these ones are actually pretty decent, especially for the price point. Now this is a little bit more of a pricey bike. I'll have the exact price up on the screen right here, but for what you get, it's really not that bad. You know, Revy Bikes has a lot of bikes that are pretty comparable with some of the, you know, the mainstream brands that we think about, and they're usually cheaper, or they're usually, you know, less expensive to get a Revy Bikes than some of the other ones. They use a lot of the same components, you know, it's just from a different brand. And so far this is the third bike of theirs that I've ridden on in the last couple of weeks, and pretty impressed with, you know, the quality of the ride feel. You know, again, some industry standard components on there, and this one in particular, like the runabout we did, that was nice. It was nice, it was compact. I felt like it was, you know, a pretty decent e-bike, especially if you're looking for sort of that smaller utility package. You're not going to find a whole lot of other bikes like this, and if you do, you know, we're talking like Vintage or Wicked Thumb, something like that, those bikes are going to be a lot more expensive, you know, better parts and things like that. But if you're thinking about your budget, you're like, I want something like that sort of has those vibes, this is a really nice sort of entry level into that style of e-bike with some decent components in it. And we've pretty much talked about all the specs that I think are important. There are more specs on bikes, obviously, guys, but I think it's time for us to head on to the ride test. All right, guys, we are out here for the ride test portion of the review. Now, normally we start out with no power just to see the pedaling, and we will do that, but I didn't downshift as I tend to do. So we'll go ahead and start off with our throttle here. I believe we're in pedal assist level 1. Gotta pull my glasses down because that's just the way these screens work with the glasses. Go ahead and shift through those. Again, super crisp, super smooth shifting. Nice, easy ride. Go ahead and get up to the top of this hill here, and say hill, this little incline here. We'll go ahead and test this bad boy out. Now, one of the things I think that'd be really cool is to sort of, you know, and you'd have to look at like the measurements and stuff and clearance for the pedals, but having some sort of, you know, peg system where you can sort of like kick your feet out and just kind of have that, you know, more of a traditional motorcycle feel, that'd be kind of cool. So Let's go ahead and we'll put it in pedal assist level 0. And throttle doesn't work. Shouldn't get any pedal assist. Let's go ahead and just pedal this like a regular bike. So we are in 1. Not too shabby. Almost, I mean, it's almost a reclined position. Now you guys kind of looking up this way, but if you can tell from the angle, you know, I'm leaned back pretty good. Arms are pretty straight. I was even thinking, you know, maybe moving this up a little bit more to get more of an ape hanger vibe, but this is, I think, the right angle for the way that these bars come in a little bit. So that's pretty nice. Go to 2. Again, great shifts. Nice. 3, 4, and this is right out of the box, so we didn't have to mess with it at all. 6. 6 probably feels like the best gear for pedaling this around. It's still showing us our speed here, which is nice. So we're going about 11 miles per hour here. And this is actually pretty comfortable. Yeah, this is actually pretty comfortable. And then obviously going into 7th. 7th is not bad either, but I think 6, maybe 5. No, I think 6 is probably my favorite gear. And honestly, this is not bad. So if you are out and around, you aren't paying attention to your battery percentage, and this thing dies on you, this is actually not, it's way better than you'd think, is my opinion. Go ahead and downshift for this little incline here. Oh yeah. Back up to 6. Yeah, honestly, that is a lot better than I'd expect it to be. But this is an electric bike. Let's go ahead and put it into pedal assist level 1 and crank on that throttle. And this, to me, is sort of where the magic happens, because now we are just absolutely cruising. Go ahead and hit those brakes for a slowdown here. Yeah, brakes are nice. They were tuned really well. And even though this is a bit of a, you know, bigger, heavier bike, the brakes just work really well. Go ahead and do a brake test up here at the corner. Easily locks out the brakes. Yeah, I mean, honestly, just feels like I'm very in control of the bike. Now, this is probably not one that we want to go no-handed on, especially not by the road, but that's actually pretty balanced. Now, this is the part of the review where I'm going to make some predictions. I'm going to say, man, I don't know, actually. I was going to say probably not going to do very well on the hill climb test, but let's see what we can do here. Now, normally we try to make this turn, but with those, you know, with those motorcycle style front forks, it's only going to turn about this much, which is, I guess, just enough to make that full circle. Let's see. We'll go ahead and do only throttle first. Get a little bit of speed up here. Yeah, actually did a lot better than I expected. Cruised right up it. So now we'll go ahead and pedal on 1. We downshift. I guess I'll try to make this turn. Saw somebody coming down the trail. I don't know if they're coming this way. No. Balance-wise, it's a little bit difficult. But if you stop, you can kind of get that. So let's go ahead and go in pedal assist level 1, or pedal assist level 5, first gear. Kind of slow down a little bit and let's see what she can do here. Oh, I'm glad I didn't make my predictions, because I thought maybe it wasn't going to do very well, but that was awesome, actually. And again, brakes, super nice. Super nice. Wow, that was actually pretty darn impressive. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. Just make sure it's not a fluke, you know? This is science, basically. So I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and get more of a stop here, because it did all too well last time. So pretty much stopped. We'll go ahead and hit it. Pedal assist level 1. I'm not doing any work. I'm just moving my feet, so I'm getting some assistance. Cruised right up it. That to me was very impressive. That was very impressive, actually. So now I mentioned something about the ghost pedaling, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you that now. So we're in 7th. And we're cruising. And and it's just ever so slightly right about that 25, 26. It's just it's a little quick, right? And it could be that most of this is just really relaxed. I'm trying to see what we're doing here. Yeah, I mean, it's just a little quick. So I wouldn't even say it's ghost pedaling per se. It's just I am pedaling a little bit quicker there towards the end, which is, yeah, just a little bit different than the whole ride, because the whole ride I'm pretty much just relaxed. And as far as the ride feel goes, between sort of this nice big cushy seat that I'm sitting on and that inverted air suspension in the front, this thing is very comfortable to ride. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty much what you're meant to do on this bike. Cruise around 25 miles per hour on the throttle. You know, still got some good flexibility, but it definitely feels more like a motorcycle. I don't know if it's part of that mullet setup or just the fact that, you know, we got the A-painters on here, but it is definitely something where it turns more of a lean. And again, right up this hill. Goodness gracious, that is nice. So hill climbing, honestly, is a lot better than I expected. It's always cool, you know, for me, having doing this for, you know, so many years. It's so cool when something surprises you. It's like, holy crap, I had no idea. Oh, how's it going? I thought he was coming on the sidewalk, but he's hitting some new jumps over there. Shout out all you trail builders out there, building trails for all of us common folk. We should also be helping you trail build. Again, nice and what's the word I'm looking for? I was gonna say flexible, but that's not right. It's got a lot of spunk. You know, and this is a bike where you could probably go like 35-ish miles an hour on it before it started to feel a little too squirrely. So, you know, only going 25, it's like, man, I feel like I could go faster on this. And some e-bikes, if you've ever ridden some that go, you know, 28 or 32, whatever, some of those you're like, man, I don't know if I want to go that fast on this e-bike. But yeah, this is very comfortable, very agile. That's what I was looking for. It's the agile. That was definitely the word I was looking for. So guys, I think that is going to do it for our review on the Prowler from Revy Bikes. If you guys want to know more about them, I'll have a link to them down below. And if you guys have any questions for me, there's probably some stuff we didn't cover in this review. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments. Love talking to you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.